Hey everyone, welcome back to Pretending with Dice. As always, I'm your host and game master, AJ. Just a quick intro this time around, then we'll get into our recap. I mentioned it in the intro of our last episode, but the first 2 months of this year were our two biggest months so far for downloads. That episode went up on the last day of February, and all you amazing people managed to push February into the number one spot for downloads just on that day, which was just really mind-blowing. Thank you so much for all tuning in. I really hope that you stay with us and make March even bigger. Also, I hope you've all been enjoying our bonus episodes on the off weeks between our story episodes. We're going to continue putting those up, but we'd really appreciate your feedback on just what you think on what we've been doing so far. Send us your thoughts on any of our social media pages. We'd really just love to know what you all think. Next week's bonus episode hasn't yet been decided, so I can't really give a detailed plug for that at this point, but there will definitely be one, so stay tuned for that. Okay, let's quickly recap what happened in our last episode. While Madame Sway and Alistair left the churchyard to regroup in the theatre's cafe, Barnard had a firm talk with the police officer on the scene and managed to talk/intimidate his way into also getting a look at the body of the verger. He didn't really manage to deduce much more than Alistair had during his brief inspection, however. Rejoining the others, they all had a discussion as to whether the strange goings-on were really any of their business, before splitting up again to pursue their own fancies for the afternoon. Alistair had a pensive walk around down by the river, casting his thoughts back to the other time in his life that he had seen the gruesome results of murderous violence, having lost a loved one in the process. Later, Barnard staked out the local pub once again, asking some probing questions of several of the pub's patrons regarding the situation in the town, and Madame Sway returned to the lodgings, but kept an eye out for anyone or indeed anything suspicious. That's pretty much where we left off, so without any further ado, let's begin today's episode. Enjoy. The next morning rolls around, and each of you comes to consciousness. Looking out the window in each of your rooms, you see it's kind of a bit of a grey day today, a little bit rainy. And so you prepare for the day. What would each of you like to do?
Alistair is going to slowly arise from his slumber, and he's going to take note of the drizzle from the rain hitting the window, and sort of slowly come to the realisation that he's probably going to be walking to the theatre in the rain today.
Right. Okay. The performance is not until this evening. It's sort of, so you're looking at your ticket. You see it says 7 p.m.
Yeah, but this seaside town, when it rains, it usually rains all day. He knows this.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Looks outside and sort of goes, another rainy day. Hopefully it clears up by tonight. And then just goes about getting washed and dressed and
all right,
heads down for breakfast.
Okay. Have you got any plans for things you want to do in the day at all? Or what are you thinking?
I'm thinking at this stage, Alistair's going to be a little bit still sort of curious as to the goings-on in the town after obviously the body that was found at the church. So if anything, he's going to be keeping an ear out around town for anything unusual going on, or any mutterings about what went down.
Right.
Essentially, he's not overly wanting to dive back into investigating, but his curiosity has been piqued. Probably not in the greatest of ways, but he's interested.
I don't think you all came to sort of consensus with the discussion about whether you were going to
carry on.
Yeah, whether it was any of your business, I think was sort of the general gist of it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think really you guys sort of came to a firm decision on that. So
no. So yeah. he's going to be intently keeping his ear to the ground.
Right, okay.
And seeing if anything else weird is going on.
Okay.
Whilst looking forward to the play.
So that's your plan.
That's my plan.
Okay. How about you, Madam Sway?
Seeing as she's a Glasgow girl and used to the rain, because it rains in Glasgow 80% of the time. I'm not kidding. 80. It's probably one of the wettest places in Britain. She's still a little, probably hungover, a little, from her little tinkle of drink last night. So she's going to probably get ready to take a walk in the rain. Just a leisurely walk for a little while. Okay. Just sort of having a bit of a sort of continuing the sightseeing from which was rudely interrupted the previous day by death. Yes, she's came here for the sea air to recuperate, so she's probably going to go and do just get ready, get her coat and dress appropriately with proper shoes. Right. Maybe a walk down to the harbour or something. Yeah, get some of that sea air that was recommended to her. Yeah, definitely. Okay. And how about Barnard?
Barnard's going to get up, head downstairs straight away, have breakfast. Is there a local newspaper or any kind of local media? Maybe is there a radio nearby that you could listen to try and catch wind of what's happening?
There is a newspaper on the table, the Twynham-on-Sea Times.
Okay, well, we'll have a little peruse of that then. Is there any glaring headlines regarding the verger or any of the events of yesterday?
It does appear that there is a sort of small story about a non-specific incident in the church, where the church had to be closed for a couple of hours. But strangely, you see, there's not really any mention. There's definitely no mention of the death. There's not really any mention of the verger. You would think maybe it's being kept quiet, maybe a little bit.
Okay. Well, while I'm eating breakfast, does Alistair come down while eating breakfast, perhaps? Or are we coming down at different times here? Because if he's around, then I want to interact and just sort of perhaps pass the paper over and make note of the fact that clearly nothing is being done about this, or at least nothing's happening right now. Which is a little suspect.
I think, Alistair be down roughly the same sort of time. So I walk down, I notice Barnard sat. Were you sat or you stood?
Sat eating breakfast with the paper.
Right. So I'll walk over. Good morning, Barnard. Everything all right?
Morning, Alistair. Just taking in the local news, making note of the fact that there's very little said of what we witnessed yesterday. Seems a little off.
No report of the body in the church?
Not a single word.
Very peculiar.
Quite.
Well, what's on the front page instead?
There's the main headline is seems to be about a village fete. Seems very, very highly anticipated coming up.
Okay.
Oh.
Rather than repeat that, we'll pretend like I said it.
Yeah. How peculiar. Then again, something that grisly in a town this quiet, they're not exactly going to want to make it headline news and scare people needlessly.
So I suppose, and this being a current event, there could be more to find out before it's worth telling the public. I suppose I shouldn't read too much into this.
No, indeed. If there are investigations going on, maybe news will come out later on down the line. Still.
Quite. We should keep our ears to the ground for the day. I'll be visiting my friend Jenkins later to inform him about the tickets to the Tempest this evening.
Ah, yes, capital. But I think you're right about keeping ears to the ground. Something still doesn't feel right about this place.
Quite.
Have you seen Madam Sway yet?
I've not, no. I've just come down for breakfast, and really I've had my head in the newspaper since coming down. She may have passed by.
Fair enough. I'll see about getting some breakfast myself. Do excuse me.
Have a good day.
And with that, I stand up and go and inquire about some breakfast.
Yeah, you're able to get some. Madam Sway, are you having breakfast? You just sort of leaving? And
she's going to make her way downstairs and just take some apples and an orange for the road, because she likes to eat while she walks.
Right.
So
okay.
She'll have an orange on the way. So, good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Morning, Madam Sway.
How are we today?
Well rested, I think.
Much as I ever am.
Not quite.
I myself have a slight headache, so I'm going to take a walk along the harbour.
Top idea. Fresh air might do you some good.
Yes, and I enjoy walking in the rain. It reminds me of Glasgow, my home, so I'm all here for my health, so I want to make use of the sea air.
Indeed. Well, enjoy your walk. I'm sure we'll bump into each other later. Don't forget the players this evening as well.
Yes, of course. Looking forward to it. Good day.
Good day.
Barnard nods towards her as she walks off.
So let's stick with Madam Sway then. If you've grabbed your apples and oranges and are sort of heading out. So leaving the lodgings, you find yourself back in the familiar street, and the rain is it's not a torrential downpour, but it's sort of steady kind of. How would you describe it?
Is it like that light drizzle, like mist-like rain?
Yeah, it's not like chucking it down, but it's the kind where it's just like everywhere, and you're gonna get wet.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
my area has a perfect word for it, which we call it much.
Okay, I haven't heard that one before.
It's kind of like my household kind of name for it. It's always been like that light drizzle, that just soaks you completely, but it's not really heavy. It's almost like a sea spray in a way.
Yeah.
Actually, we call it much.
Yeah, so it's kind of it's not nice out, but it's not unfamiliar to you, as you say. So you can kind of make your way fairly easily down to the river. You haven't really been down here yet, but it's not hard to find. The town itself isn't particularly sort of sprawling or anything like that. So sort of off the high street, there's a fair few houses and things, but it's an easy. It's not too tough to find your way to the river. That's what I'm saying. There's a couple of other people around, but the actual riverbank itself isn't really sort of. It's not really built up. There's a couple of sort of small fishermen's huts along it, and looking further along to the west, as you come down to it, you can see a bridge over the river. But to get to the harbour itself, you can stay on this side if you like, or go to the other side. It's totally up to you.
Can she stop? She's going to stop over the bridge and just look at the water for a little bit. Does this river run all the way through the village or to the sea itself?
It's sort of how it runs is sort of along. The village itself is mostly on one side of the river. And the river kind of empties into a large natural harbour, with a sort of headland on the seaside of it. So it's kind of fairly well sheltered, really, the harbour, and you can see most of this from where you are. But and in the distance you can see the harbour itself emptying out into the sea.
So over this bridge this road is going out away from the town.
Yeah, kind of towards
then.
the sort of cliff tops. Obviously, out of character, this is the route that Alistair took during the first day when he went down to the to have his sort of look out to sea and that.
Are there still many people about, and how do they seem?
There's not a huge number of people. It doesn't appear deserted. On the bridge, there's one or two people going back and forth, but there's a couple of small houses on the far side of the bridge. It's not that you would guess maybe these people are going into town to get some groceries or off to work or something. Nobody seems to. There's no kind of obvious signs of like distress or anything like that. People just seem to be sort of going about their daily business, but it's really not too busy. This isn't it's not a well built up area. Let's put it that way.
She's gonna stop for a little bit and eat her orange.
Sort of standing on the bridge, looking over.
Yeah, just like people watching and just looking around to see if there's anything that's like resembling the feeling that she had the other day with the police officer.
So sort of like how do you mean with the?
Not more like it's almost like a perception kind of check kind of thing. Like she's looking, but she's not like she's seeing if anything pops out
Right.
as like like out of place almost.
Well, speaking of, let's actually make a check then.
Okay.
Okay, so if you're looking for sort of the general sort of feeling of the people, then is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Just to see if, because I'd imagine that she, as an actress, she would recognise when people are trying to put on a face when it's not natural, that they're trying to look like they're getting about their everyday when really there's something going on.
Yeah. Okay.
Just
Make a psychology check for me then, just to see if
So
you can
that's-
kind of pick up the general sort of feeling. There's a D100. What's your number on that one?
Yeah, the big number is 10.
10.
1.
You got a 1. Oh well, that's perfect then. Yeah. Just looking at your sheet, you're not trained in psychology according to the sheet I've got.
Oh no, I'm not. Sorry.
No, but still, you rolled a 1, which is a critical success.
Huzzah!
Okay, so let me just think about this then. So, a few people just seem to be just going about their normal business. But as you look, there's 1 or 2 people here and there who have got a sort of a bit of a look about them that you're just kind of picking up some general signs that they're feeling a little bit tense. And there's nobody kind of talking in hushed whispers, sort of, or anything like that.
It's more like in this like small gestures and
the
body language kind of thing that she's picking out.
Kind of like you see someone walking along and just sort of at nothing, just kind of look over their shoulder briefly, and that which could be not out of place, but just knowing what that some people in this town are known to have gone missing a bit, and that the something has gone on, which you're very aware of. It just kind of, it wouldn't be a big stretch to think that maybe that's another person that has heard about what's going on and is just being a bit wary and sort of tense about the situation.
You said that they were looking over their shoulder. Is there a specific direction that they're looking, or
not really.
Just general?
Just general kind of like a sort of watching their back, kind of like they're walking on their own sort of thing, and not jumping at shadows, if you know what I mean, but kind of like just sort of staying aware of their surroundings a bit more than maybe they would normally. I mean, you don't know this person, but just as I say, it wouldn't be a huge stretch to think that maybe this is unwarranted given the surroundings,
Sensing that, she's going to probably like pull her jacket a little bit tighter around herself, and probably walk on from the bridge towards the harbour.
Right. Okay. So the easiest way to get to the harbour will be to follow the river on the on both sides really, but on the side you're on. Which is kind of the opposite way. Again, to sort of refer back to what Alistair did on his previous trip. He had walked to the cliff tops and then come back along the river. So you're kind of going the opposite way that he did, but sort of making your way along to the to where the river widens out into a large harbour. Takes you. It's not a short walk. It takes you a good sort of, I'd say probably 15 minutes before you get from the bridge to where the harbour starts to sort of really be. But as you arrive there, you can sort of see over there's some short kind of reeds and things growing on the sides of the river. But as you reach the harbour, you can look out and see it's quite a large, wide expanse of water for a natural harbour. No way of telling really how deep it is, and you can spot a fair few sort of boats here and there. Mostly, though, they look like to be some sort of small fishing boats, and very few kind of pleasure sort of boats. Just from the general look of things.
I think if she wanted to like relax on a boat, she wouldn't come to this part of the world.
No, I mean it's fine now, but yeah, if you want to relax on a boat, England's not amazing. Really. But yeah, looking out across, you can see a couple of the fishing boats seem to be sort of making their way out of the harbour, into the sort of open sea. Also, to your right, you can see in the shadow of a large headland, which is kind of sort of working as like a giant sort of windbreak against the ocean, which is sort of keeping the harbour fairly calm. In the shadow of that headland, there is a large manor house. looks to be made of brick. From what you can see, it's a little way off at this point, and you can just make out a high wall surrounding surrounding the compound, if that makes sense. Yeah, again, it's a little way off, but it does look quite imposing. It's kind of looking. You can see it's kind of looking out over the harbour. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's like run down a little bit, and
not really. No, it doesn't look that run down.
So it's probably a really fancy house compared to the rest of the village as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. It looks easily sort of. I don't know. It's got a couple of wings. It's not. I'm trying to think of something to compare it to. I was going to say like a Downton Abbey, but I'd never watched Downton Abbey, so I don't really know how the building is in that. It's a big old house. I don't know.
It's a big old house. Yeah, yeah. It's okay. It's a big old house.
Yeah, it looks like it's a manor house. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
It's kind of,
okay.
Yeah.
So he's kind of curious who lives there. Like that's a big fancy house for such a small place.
Yes.
Are there fishermen going around?
Not really where you are, but there you did pass some sort of along the way. A couple of guys with just with fishing rods. Although it looks like the more serious fishermen are kind of out in boats, either in the harbour or leaving the harbour to go out to sea.
So there's like no one milling around, with like mending nets or anything like that.
Not really where you are. Looking over the harbour, it looks like there is kind of more of the sort of fishing sort of industry side of things is on the far side of the harbour, closer to the sort of where it exits into the ocean sort of thing. So that would, I mean, that does look like it's a fairly long way. It's probably straight line a mile from where you are across water.
Oh.
But you can see it. I mean, it does look like there's sort of, it's kind of. It looks like a sort of separate little fishing village, if that makes sense. Except as you kind of look along, there's more houses and things. So it is joined to the town. It's just sort of on the other side, the outskirts on the other side of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's like circling the bay. Almost.
Yeah.
I'm assuming there's like a path towards the house itself. Then.
Yes, you could. Well, at the very least, you can make your way to the wall, if that makes sense.
To the wall.
Yeah. Well, from where you are, it's still probably 10 minutes away from.
Yeah, that's too far.
It's quite a way to get to, and it just be like a wall you can't get over. Yeah, I mean, you might be able to find your way around to an entrance, but that's up to you.
I think that would probably be seeing that she can see it from a distance, but the weather is not in her favour. She'd probably rather go back and do that walk on a better day. Because she doesn't. She won't be prepared. She's quite level-headed that way. That she wouldn't want to jump into like. She might not be prepared enough, like her clothes and things. So she'd probably want to do it on a nicer day.
Yeah. Okay.
She'll probably wander a little around the harbour and then head back towards the lodgings to get out of the rain for a little bit.
All right. Okay. If you're taking your walk, your hangover clears, let's say, and you have your food while you're walking. So while you're on your walk, who would like to go first? How about Barnard?
Okay. Right. Barnard's going to head straight out to the sanitarium to visit Jenkins and let him know what's going to happen this evening, or at least check with him if it's even viable for him to come out. Right.
Okay. Well, you know the way. I take it you're walking up as well. It's a little later today than it was when you went previously. You get there maybe, I want to say 9:30, 10 o'clock, and as you're walking up the driveway, you see coming out of the front door of the sanitarium is a fairly tall man with fairly, not short cropped, but like fairly tidy blonde hair. Leaving the front door, he's wearing a quite sort of nice coat and a top hat. Following him, carrying a large case, is what looks to be one of the orderlies, and also trailing him is another sort of assistant who seems to be writing in a diary of sorts. they seem to be heading towards one of the cars that are parked out front, and you just catch a sort of snippet of conversation. You see him saying, "I will be back within 2 hours, but do not disturb me while I attend to Lady Druitt." The orderly puts the case into the back of the car and gets into the car in the driver's seat, while the well-dressed man gets into the rear seat of the car. And you're still kind of walking up the driveway as you go. The engine starts and they drive past you out.
Okie doke. Can I get a good look at the guy's face as they're driving past?
Sure, yeah. Details-wise, like I say, he's got sort of really tidy blonde hair. Kind of looks fair. He doesn't look particularly rough. He looks fairly well, takes care of his skin, I guess. I don't know. Nothing too sort of standing out, so that he hasn't got like any kind of crazy scars or anything like that. Okay,
and as far as his dress and attire and everything went, was he relatively just typical, or was he well off?
It looks fairly well off. It's quite nice clothing.
Okay, right. Okay, then, well, having noted that, I'm going to kind of sort of mentally note it and then head into the building to speak to whoever it is that's on reception.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So stepping inside, it does look like it's the same... The same person that you just saw taking notes is just making their way back around the other side of the reception desk. And sort of seem to be quite flustered, sort of putting their notes away in that when you walk up. It is the same person that you spoke to the previous day when you attended the sanitarium. So there's a bit of a flicker of recognition as you walk up. Oh, hello there, sir. Here to see. Was it? What was the name again?
Jenkins.
Oh yes, sir. It looks like he's just come out of just had his procedure done for the day. Probably resting, but you best check with the nurse before you see him on the ward.
Noted. Just out of curiosity, before I pass by, that gentleman who was on his way out, he seemed like he was perhaps your superior. Might I inquire as to who he was? That's Dr. Quarterly. He runs this place.
Well, thank you very much, good sir. I know my way. And with that, Barnard will head off to have a little chat with Jenkins. Assuming, in fact, I will speak to the nurse that is attending to Jenkins, assuming that that's the situation I'm about to...
Yes. Okay. So, you remembering the way from previously, you make your way onto the ward, and it does look like there's a curtain wrapped round Jenkins' bed at the moment, and as you walk in, a nurse steps out from behind it, closes it again behind her.
Good morning. My apologies, I appear to have walked in on something. Is now an inopportune time? I would like to speak to my friend Jenkins here.
Mr. Jenkins has just come out from his procedure. I'm afraid he won't be able to talk for some time. What was your name? I can tell him that you called.
Tell him that Barnard visited and that I would like to take him out this evening. In fact, you may be able to assist me with the information on this. Is Jenkins capable of travel right now? I've bought tickets to the Tempest. Figured that it would be a nice, perhaps, final outing for him.
She gets this sort of look on her face of sort of, you know what? Make a psychology check for me.
Okie doke. Oh, my character's very incapable on that front, so let's see how this goes.
Alrighty. Below a 10.
New 49.
Okay, yeah, no, you can't really read her. But she sort of frowns. You kind of, again, you don't really get a good read on, any sort of what she's thinking or anything like that. She says, I'm not sure if that will be possible with Mr. Jenkins' current state. But I can always check with the doctor later.
I appreciate his situation is quite dire. And, of course, the doctor's orders are the best. So, yes, as I said, let him know what the situation is. I'll await a call, and can I pass over details of the lodgings that I'm at?
Sure.
So that she can get in touch. With that, I'm going to look over towards the curtain where Jenkins is. Is there any kind of sound movement? Is there any indication of anything happening there?
Well, those are different questions. Make a listen check for me.
Okie doke. 21. And my
21.
listen is 20.
Oh, that's close. As it's so close, I'll give you. I won't give you all of the information, but okay, you can hear. It does sound like there's still somebody. You can hear the sounds of somebody kind of bustling around him, and slightly ragged breathing, but this is more kind of you're putting that together from your previous experience in hearing people who've been injured in the war, and that you not a sound you'll soon forget, sort of thing. If that makes sense. Sort of.
Okey-doke. Right. Well, with that then, I'm gonna give a little nod to the nurse, head out into the corridor, and as he's making his way through the sanitarium, I'm going to kind of keeping eyes and ears open, so to speak. If there are anything in the sights and sounds that sort of stand out as he's passing throughout towards the entrance.
Okay. I think for this, because you're kind of generally sort of looking for stuff, let's do what we've done previously and just have an straight intelligence check.
Okie doke. That's 64, and my intelligence is 50.
50. Other than a lot of sick-looking people, as previously established, Barnard's not really a medical man, so it's just a lot of people who don't look in a good way. You do notice you remember from the previous trip, as you were walking back, you saw a couple walking towards the sanitarium as you were returning from your previous trip. You do notice the female member of that duo now in one of the beds, but doesn't look up as you pass. That's really all that you notice.
Well, it seems a little rude to just wander over to her and have a little chat about the fact that, hey, I saw you yesterday and now you're on your back, so what happens? Like, that's a bit upfront. So I think Barnard's just going to walk straight past her, having noted that, like, he recognises her face at least, and will, let me think. Head out into the grounds of the sanitarium. Is there in fact, before I head out there, can I go to the reception desk and ask, are there grounds to the sanitarium? Is there a garden, perhaps? Is there somewhere I could take a walk before I leave?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you can ask at reception about that. So the same person is behind the desk now. They look a bit more settled, and look up as you walk up. Did you manage to speak to your friend, sir?
No, not quite. It seemed like he was at the end of some sort of process or operation. Might I inquire, what exactly was happening to my friend Jenkins? Could you look it up?
I can try. These things tend to be the purview of the doctor himself, but just give me a minute. He disappears into a back room. You can hear the sound of ruffling through files, and returns and says, he was Mr. Jenkins. He seemed to be in quite a bad way when he came to us. He's been earmarked down for the doctor trying him for the most aggressive treatment plan that we have. He must have been in quite a bad way. That most patients don't get put in for that series of procedures.
Aggressive, you say? So sounds perhaps a little much for a man in his condition. What kind of procedures? What kind of aggressive procedures could one undertake?
The doctor advocates for the removal of the cause of conditions rather than the just treating of the symptoms. So it's possible if the infection had spread, maybe they had to remove the cause a little deeper within your friend than some.
Yes, I suppose that is an aggressive and perhaps extreme move, and kind of noting to himself the fact that Jenkins was there to perhaps die peacefully anyway, and that this is maybe a little much. Like, I'm kind of Barnard's just keeping it in mind that why would they go through such an extreme procedure for somebody that's already on their last legs? It feels like that's a little questionable, but he's not going to say anything about it at this moment. And not happy with what he's heard necessarily. I'm going to inquire now about the grounds and what have you, and find out if there's anywhere that we can have a nice walk and perhaps take our mind off of thoughts of what we've just been told.
Yes, sir. I mean, you would have seen the grounds out front, but we do have a nice grassy area at the rear of the building as well. The pond, if that's to your liking.
Yes, I should think so. It will help clear the mind and help the constitution. I shall be taking a brief walk then, and then I will leave your facility for the day. As I spoke to the nurse in Jenkins's room, she said that he perhaps wasn't fit for travel this evening. I plan to take him out, but can I pass details to this gentleman as well?
Sure. Yeah, no problem.
Making sure that they've got all the details, and that if anybody needs to get in touch with me about anything related to Jenkins, they know where to get me.
Okay.
Cool, so doing that then, and then heading out. We'll go and have a walk around the grounds and keep eyes and ears open as we do.
Okay. Yeah, you find the sort of the front of the building you'd kind of seen as you walked up was sort of bit of a sort of lawn and a couple of trees and such. But making your way to the back of the building, it's a similar sort of setup, but there is a sort of small kind of pond area there as well. One or two not too badly looking patients. They don't look in too bad of a way, sitting in wheelchairs, sort of just looking at the pond. There's one or two ducks in it. It's a pond.
Okay, well, if there's nothing of interest happening, then he will sit and relax for a little while and then wander back into town.
Okay, let's go over to Alistair then.
Okay, Alistair, having had his breakfast, obviously the others left before he did. He's going to walk out of the lodgings and he's going to take the main road leading into town.
Right, okay. It's a bit of a well-trodden path at this point.
Yeah, quite a well-trodden path, definitely. As he walks into town, he's just looking around at various buildings and people going about their business and just trying to be very openly aware of stuff without making it look like he's sort of eavesdropping as he walks.
Okay, there are you looking around, you can see there's a couple of sort of smaller sort of shops that seem to have opened for the day. There's sort of greengrocers, sort of, he's just putting as you walk past, he's putting out sort of baskets with cabbages and things in out front, and sort of fairly reasonable prices. It's just, fairly small number of people walking around compared to the previous day when it wasn't raining quite so bad.
Right.
And there appears to be a sort of general kind of sort of newsagent, tobacconist as well, about halfway up, a few doors down from the pub that you've been in previously. There's a library, there's a shoe shop.
The news agents. Can I take a look as I'm passing to see if any of the papers they have there show anything different
Sure.
to what we saw at the lodgings?
Yeah, just make an investigation. No, make an intelligence roll for me. Just
65.
65. What's your number on intelligence?
45.
45.
45.
No, I mean, there's a lot of papers here.
Just a lot of papers.
Yeah. The one that you do notice, though, that you recognise as the local one, the Twine Sea Times.
The Village Fate written across it.
Yeah, it's the same edition that was on the table at Mrs. Kendra's lodgings. So you would guess, maybe putting two and two together, she either had one delivered or she went and got it before you all arose.
Right. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop walking partway down the street, maybe near a lamppost.
Okay.
And I'm going to essentially reach into my coat as if I'm looking for gloves or something, and I'm going to listen for any chatter from people walking by. Can I do that?
Are you situating yourself anywhere specific, or just stopping randomly by a lamppost?
I'm going to stop a few doors down from the pub that we've been frequenting.
Right, so sort of near to the newsagents.
Near to the newsagents, but yeah, sort of just literally stopping and thinking, oh, I'll get something out, but just trying to hear from
and just generally kind of like keeping an eye out taking in the town ambience.
Yeah, an eye out and an ear down. Yes.
Yeah, okay. Make another intelligence roll for me. I would say listen, but if you're keeping an eye out as well, let's just go straight intelligence, I think. Just as a sort of general being aware, sort of.
Ooh, that's pretty terrible. 82.
82. You sort of turn your head as you're doing it, and a raindrop goes right in your ear. Oh. And you get a little bit of swimmer's ear there for a second. And so you can't hear a lot.
Pardon? Okay, that plan didn't work.
No.
Right. Putting back what I was fake getting out of my pocket, I look across the street and see the theatre.
Yes, you're quite close to that.
Yeah. Alistair thinks, well, as I'm here, I might go and see if I can talk to Abraham before the show tonight. He must be backstage by now.
Well, it's early in the morning. It's fairly early in the morning still, but yeah.
Yeah.
Day of.
Yeah, exactly.
Might be worth a look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So
right.
I'm going to make my way across to the theatre and see if I can get access to the backstage.
Alrighty.
And look for Abraham.
Okay, so are you going in through the front, or are you sort of going to look around the side? And
okay, so I'm going to try and find a back door that takes me through to the dressing room area of the theatre, rather than going through the front box office.
Yeah. Up the left-hand side of the building, the front doors don't appear to be open anyway as you pass. It's, it being fairly early, the box office, it's fairly early when you get there, I would say, so the box office isn't open. As you head up the side of the building, you do find a side door, which does appear to be closed at the moment.
Mm-hmm. I approach the door, taking a brief look around. I knock a few times on the door.
Okay. There's a gap of 10-15 seconds, and the door kind of opens a crack, and sort of eyes appear. Hello?
Good morning. Maybe you could help me. I'm looking for Abraham Foster. He's appearing in the Tempest tonight. I was hoping I could have a quick chat with him.
Ah, yes. Do come in. I'm the director of tonight's play.
Nice to meet you.
Yes.
I'm Alistair. I'm an old friend of Abraham's.
Edward.
Pleased to meet you, Edward.
Yes. It's he opens the door fully, and you walk in.
Right.
You do find, you can hear immediately as you come in, there's sort of the sounds of people sort of rehearsing, running lines and that. A little bit of bustle of people moving things about here and there. But the director sort of leads you through to the dressing room area.
Wonderful.
Within, he knocks softly on a door. Abraham, somebody here to see you. It's a brief pause, and the door opens, and stood there is your family friend. How long would you say it's been since you've seen Abraham?
I think it's been about 8 years.
8 years? Okay, yeah. So
stayed in contact via letters and telegrams and stuff, but
not
seeing
in
him,
person.
It's not always been possible.
Yeah. Okay. Alistair.
Hello, Abraham.
Lovely surprise.
Yeah, it's good to see you too, old friend. May I come in?
Of course, sir.
Thank you.
Please, take a seat.
So I walk in and pull up a chair. Mm-hmm. Yes, I made it, as promised.
Yes.
To see the play tonight.
Glad you could come. It's been some time now, hasn't it?
About 8 years, I think.
Yes, your mother's funeral, wasn't it?
Yes. Unfortunate that we had to meet under that circumstance last time.
Yes. She was a lovely lady.
Well, she was. She did speak quite fondly of you, and father did as well, of course.
Yes, well, hopefully better circumstances this time around.
Yes, well, you say that, and Of course, the way your last letter read, this might be the last time I get to see you.
Well, let's hope it doesn't come to that, but yes, I'm getting on, as you know. One never knows how many years one has left, but you get a feeling in the bones.
Yes, quite.
Not so many winters left.
What did the doctors give you in terms of time?
They were vague. It could be anything from 6 months to we'll wait and see.
It's just typical of you, Abraham. Always trying to keep people guessing.
Well, yeah, that's the actor's life, my boy.
That it is.
Keep them coming back for more.
Indeed. So, how have rehearsals been going?
Well, fairly well. I think we're quite well prepared for tonight. One of the stage hands is yet to turn up today, but I'm sure we'll muddle on. You know, have to make some quick changes to our wardrobes, but we'll see what happens. Blasted boy, probably off chasing some of the village girls or something, if I know him.
I can only imagine. Yes.
Yes, but other than that, it's a small company. We don't have why it's such a problem when somebody doesn't turn up. There's only so many of us to go around.
No, indeed. It's got a small town and such a reputable company.
Well,
to do it justice.
We travel the area, as you know, but yes, mostly based here. Yeah, well, you I don't know if you'd remember. You came and saw us when you were but a boy. We were doing Midsummer Night's Dream.
I do remember that, actually. Yes. That was quite the evening. I remember being quite awestruck by...
My bottom got a lot of praise that night.
Were you bottom? Were you bottom?
I don't recall.
I'm sure you were very high in the ratings.
No one's ever accused me of having a low bottom. Yes, well.
You do make me laugh, Abraham.
I try my best.
Even in the face of certain
death.
Even in the face of certainty. Upsetting certainty. Actually, I did want to ask you something, I would say, because you've been living here for God knows how long now. I came down a few days ago, as you know, on the train, and ever since I got here, it just doesn't feel like anything's right with the town. Everything seems kind of bleak.
I've had a bit of a mood over the place the last little while. I'll grant you that, but...
And the business with the body in the church,
Body in the church?
You don't know?
Oh, yeah, there's a fate coming up, that's all I saw in the paper, but...
Abraham, you've been living here for the better part of the last 5 years.
A little touch more than that, boy.
Well, case in point, fair enough, but... Are you telling me you didn't hear about what happened in the church yesterday?
Oh, I've been in rehearsals. If it's not in the paper, and you know how it is, always mind on the material.
Quite.
Who body in the church? You say though?
Yes.
Whose body?
Yes, a body was discovered in one of the offices in the church of the verger.
Good lord.
Yeah, very grisly business. I saw firsthand.
You saw? How did you get involved in that, dear boy?
One of my travelling companions went to the church and came back reporting some kind of commotion, so I snuck in to see what was going on. The verger, his body was missing an entire section. Like his entire midsection was just gone.
Good lord.
Blood everywhere, but no signs of struggle, no signs of animal attack or anything. It's just no one seems to be talking about it.
My goodness. Not even the paper, you say? Well,
not even the paper. Well, like you say, the village fate has been plastered all over the front of it.
Yes.
And the police, well, they don't seem to be looking into it particularly seriously.
Well, if they are, then they're not letting the paper know, for one thing.
No, indeed. Maybe not to cause panic, but It seems like for such a quiet place, such a grisly thing to have happened. I'm surprised you didn't know.
Well, as
I
say,
appreciate you've been rehearsing, but...
I have.
Yes. Has... Abraham, just tell me this. You say the town has had a very strange, dire mood for quite some time. How long a time exactly? If you had to think back, how long have things been bleak in Twynham Sea?
Well, tough to put a number on it, but some weeks now at least.
Weeks?
Yes.
That's my soul. I suppose best not to dwell too much on what's been going on. Not when you've got a play to perform.
Yes, mind on the stage and
Exactly.
material and that. Well, I'm one of the lead roles, as you know.
Indeed.
Got enough on my plate without talk of such grisly murders.
Certainly. In fact, I do remember you telling me that you had cause to switch plays once. I think it was a couple of years ago. You said that one of your plays, which one was it now? I think it was Romeo and Juliet. No one bought the tickets, and you switched over to Macbeth, and everybody came, and you had all parts in your head in one go.
Well, it's tough. You try and sort out the different parts in your mind, especially in a lead. I was a bit old to be playing Romeo, as you know, but my Macbeth, the Scottish play, as we say.
Yeah,
Sorry,
indeed,
we
yes.
should,
Yes.
we must ever speak its name within these hallowed walls.
you have to hit yourself on the knee 4 times and spin around.
5 if you're really
5,
serious.
of course.
If you're
9.
serious about the
Of course.
thing, yes.
Yes, my apologies.
You have to chase down a haggis.
Yeah, kick it into the harbour.
Indeed, yes. So I still find the fact that you did that swap on the fly fascinating. I mean, I'm not an actor, so I can't imagine how difficult it must be to keep all those lines in your head and separate at all times.
Well, we each have our own skills, do we not?
We
I'm not
do.
sure I could go digging through burial sites like you do, my boy. But
No, I suppose.
have
suppose
you
not.
been doing much of that recently?
A few things, yes. The last thing I remember writing to you about actually was doing some digging over in Belgium. I found some ruins on the
Belgium,
coastline.
you say?
Yeah, Belgian coastline. Yeah,
Yes.
finding traces of old Viking burial grounds.
It is interesting.
It was very interesting. I'm supposed to be going back there in a couple of months' time.
Well, ruins on the coast always interesting.
Well, there's a challenge as well, always fighting the elements to get everything dug up and catalogued before the water takes over the shoreline again. It's literally right on the coast.
Well, best not tarry too long in this town then.
No, indeed. I'm still waiting for the travel papers to come through, but I'm hopeful I'll be back over there soon.
So yeah, you two talk for a little while longer, and before long there's a little bit of a knock on the door, and the director puts his head in. Abraham, we're about to rehearse. We need to rehearse your first scene again. Are you still talking to your friend? Yes, quite. Well, afraid he turns to you and says, afraid I'm going to have to go now, boy. But,
No, of course.
I'll see you tonight for the performance.
You certainly will, yes. I'll be here with a few friends of mine. And,
Friends. Well, the more the merrier, I'm sure.
no, certainly. I think we're all very much looking forward to seeing the play. And break a leg. In fact, break several.
Yes.
And I put a hand out to shake his, and just say, "Take care, Abraham. We'll see you tonight."
I will. You be careful out there with these. Like I say, there's a murder about. But don't want our audience getting thinned out any more than it needs to be. So, and then he's, obviously making a little bit of a joke. He sort of looks you in the eye. So, I'll see you tonight.
Yes.
Thank you.
See you then.
So
then-
you find your way out back into the alleyway next to the theatre. It's still raining, but
Indeed. As I'm walking out, I lock eyes with the director again and just give him a wave to say thank you and good luck, and
gives you a
off.
friendly nod and continues.
Yep. And then I head towards the door and leave the way I came.
Okay. Okay, that's going to do it for this episode. We'll be back next week with another bonus episode, so be sure to tune in for that. Our next story episode, episode 47, continuing where we left off today, will be available as usual in 2 weeks' time on Thursday, the 28th of March. In the meantime, you can get in contact with us on Twitter and Facebook, both of which we are at Pretend With Dice. You can also email us at pretendingwithdice@outlook.com. If you're an iTunes user, it'd be really great if you could leave us a rating and review. It all helps us to find new listeners, and we'd just really love to hear what you think of the podcast. So for now, that's our show. I hope you all enjoyed it. We'll see you next time.